What's going on in the crypto market right now is the question I've been seeing every single morning. Well, let me tell you this, right now as it stands, it's been multiple days of me doing the exact same thing. I wake up, see crypto's going down a little bit. I decide whether or not it's low enough for me to start buying in, and I either go to bed or wake up again with the price significantly higher. And that's kind of how it's been going over the past few days. I've had a couple of comments of people saying, Dusty, aren't you afraid? And I always answer back, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know my exact plan. You know exactly how I roll these crypto streets, so to call them. You know exactly what I do to maximize, I wouldn't say maximize profit, but to make profit consistently. And it's all based on one very important thing, which is not being a little whiny ass, all right? That's literally it. So what is the situation today? Well, today, as we quickly refresh probably here, because just now we were at $92.5 thousand per Bitcoin. Let's just quickly see. Here we go. Back to 95. Last night I was about to record saying, oh, you know what? I'm buying the dip. But I'm thinking, man, I made the same video 7 days in a row of me saying, hey guys, if things go down low for XRP, if things go down low for Bitcoin, those are my two main coins I'm buying. Whenever Ethereum is below 3250, it's always a buy in my book, at least right now. And what we know is, I've described it many times, right? But I'll say it again. If the price goes like this, goes down like a freaking sinking ship, don't step on that ship just quite yet. It's sometimes better to miss the dip unless you get yourself a really good deal. With XRP, that will be if we get a wick towards like $2 minus. Crazy, I'll always buy. 196, always buy. 190 or 189 like last time, I'll always buy. Even if it crashes like crazy quickly, I'll still buy it regardless. If it slow trickles down though, you start to be a little bit more decisive. I mean, yesterday I made a video saying, hey, you know what? You can always buy at $2.10. Price afterwards went to what? $2.02? Maybe $2? Well, better, right? I said every time it goes below $2, I always go all in, which is not fully all in, but see here, right? Just last night, again, it went to about $2.02, something like that. Right now, again, you're up roughly 5% throughout that day. Now, was this a perfect recipe? No, but it went to about $2. You can try buy in, try sell high. Look at this. Every single time it goes to $2, it bounces back up. Before it did this from $2.10. If your mind is only set on $2.10 to buy in from, and you don't have any leeway, sometimes you lose. But by the way, if you also want to trade, check out the link down below to 𝗏𝗏. It's where I'm trading on right now. Or perhaps even 𝗏𝗏𝗃, as right now you've got some pretty juicy bonuses on there. And make sure you press the like button if you haven't done it yet. But today is a bit more of a theoretical video here, right? As I'm telling you guys exactly what I'm doing. Because to me, it makes too much sense, but I still see a lot of skepticism and questions in the comments of people saying either, I don't have any more money to buy the dip, to which I can say, man, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because you gotta buy, if XRP, in my opinion, not finished twice, if XRP all of a sudden goes to like $1.40 or something like that, you're gonna have to load in some. So I never encourage people to have $0 to buy if a crazy discount type of deal happens or a crazy flash crash, or on the opposite side, then you just have not mastered the art of selling. Meaning, for example, right now, if your entry price was just now about $2.01, something like that, right? Or it was $2.10 before, but you averaged out to $2.05. Right now we're at $2.12 with leverage, which is what we're doing. You could have a significant amount of profit already. You could sell at least part of that to hopefully either buy back in cheaper or to hold now for the next leg up. But regardless, you should never completely be out of funds in almost any scenario, if you're trading at least. Why am I saying that? Well, because if you are, then also the moment a significant dip happens, you might not be able to fully fill it. Not in the sense of you won't be able to buy the dip. I mean more so in the sense of adding margin to your positions, meaning you might get liquidated, which is the worst thing that can happen when you're trading. Now, you might also be asking, so how does that work for other coins? Well, I think what becomes the most important thing to do is look at the coins which you're willing to trade. For example, Bitcoin, Ether, BNB, whatever, right? You notice a certain pattern. For example, Solana right now, every single time it goes back to, let's just say, I'm not sure what the number is, right? 189, very often. I'm just looking through, right? Here, for example, we've noticed this is a very simple chart, but it's to explain the basis on the most easy of charts I can see. Solana, throughout the last month, has gone multiple times to about $1.80. We know that if it gets to $1.80, you're basically buying the monthly lowest point. The monthly highest point being 240, but let's just say the monthly lowest point. So if you get lucky enough to scoop up below $1.80, you know that you're in a pretty good position to have a bounce back up. Now, $1.80 is relatively low because it only went below it once, maybe twice here. Yeah, also there, right there. I'm not sure if it went through below it a few days ago. Probably just barely not. So we put the basis slightly higher at maybe even $1.90, because if you look throughout the last month, if you were able to buy at $1.90, every single time it dipped, you would have been able to flip it for profit pretty quickly afterwards, because it went back to $200 every single time. You can see it right here. Here it only went to 197-ish or so, and right now it's at 198, so just barely not back. But that means if you were able to buy, for example, 190, which you could have done last night, and right here, just a few hours ago even as well, you would have been able to flip it for profit like this every single time. Is this going to be sustainable forever? No. These numbers change all the time, but this is what you get after, quote unquote, analyzing or looking at a pair for a certain amount of time. So for Solana, for example, that will be a pretty good basis where I'm always comfortable to buy some. Now, there's, of course, underlying macro factors. For example, is the crypto market falling harder than normal? Like I just said, a massive crash. These numbers are less nice because you want to focus perhaps more on okay, it depends. But I want to say you focus more on the bigger coins rather than small coins. But Solana is still huge. That's mostly when we're talking about fluctuations of like 30 or 40%. With Solana and coins like that, though, the fluctuations are quite small. But if we take a look at SUI, and there's many other coins in that nature, even Hype right now, it was at $35 or so before. I don't think it's going to take too long for it to get back there as it starts an up curve again. What probably happens soon, though, but there's not enough trading data to back that up. But 𝗵𝗂 the same. Yesterday I was looking at it at 18, or let's call it 18 cents. I know it's way lower than that, but let's just call this 18 cents instead of 21 cents right now. And I was thinking, should I add? Well, I already have a sizable 𝗵𝗂 bag. I'm like, I kind of don't need to. But then if we take a look at the monthly perspective, whatever we were getting right now, right, relatively, the price of 17, 18 cents or so, it was not as good as the deal of 14 cents, let's call it, back there, but it's relatively extremely cheap because even the bigger dips at the start of the month were roughly 19 cents or so. So we're getting ourselves a pretty steep discount. From a yearly perspective, no, it's definitely not that good. But depending on where we ended up exactly yesterday, I'm not so sure. If it was below, because I think it was like 18 something, right? If we're taking a look at it from the yearly perspective, and we just actually consider November to now, so we take a look at roughly this period right here, which is a little bit more than a month. It's actually a month and a half or so. We can take a look at the prices that we were seeing yesterday were relatively extremely cheap. So again, we scoop those up. So how do you know which coins to go for? Well, I always say it's easier if you already have a fundamental idea of how long you're willing to hold these for. And when I say that, I mean with coins like 𝗵𝗂, I know they'll probably still 10x over the season, over the cycle. So it's fine for me to buy at any point because worst case, I'm going to hold it for a long time. Not every coin is made equal, though. There's a lot of coins at the bottom that I really never wish to hold, if you get my drift. So those, and I made a video on Popcat a long time ago, right? With Popcat as well, it's a meme. There's not really as much of a narrative, though, as there is with 𝗵𝗂. So I'm like a little bit more scared, even though I still think it could do well. I'm less confident so. With XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, for example, with those, since I'm certain, in my opinion, that they'll still at least double, perhaps triple, and for XRP, maybe even a 10x from here, yeah, it's easy to just scoop up. But if the dip was slightly too high, I got slightly too high of an average price. But as long as I do not get liquidated on my positions, it is always fine. And that's like my thinking process here throughout the last little bit. And it keeps working. A lot of people like to say, but I don't really get why people have all these buts. Because it's literally that simple. And if you can't do it, it's really on you. Not to be rude, but it's on your side. Or you're a hodler, and at that point, it's completely fine. If you're wondering what's going on there's a lot of news, sure, but we already said around the Christmas times, right? Around the New Year's times, it's very turbulent. I did not expect a massive sell-off, which really didn't happen. Yes, Bitcoin went down ever so slightly. A couple of my friends said, oh, look, I'm not even looking anymore. But I said to them, well, it's not really that bad. You know, we're still above $90-something thousand per Bitcoin. Can't really complain. Can we really say this is a massive sell-off? Just this move on the 17th, that was pretty big, right? Cascading from 107 or 108 when we made the all-time high to like 93. That was a pretty big move, okay? But here, the last few days, yes, it's been going down, sure, but nothing really of a massive fall. Just not been, quote-unquote, that amazing. But then again, if we're taking a look at Bitcoin, if you had bought just last night, you could have bought at $92,000. I was out for dinner. I told my friends at the table, said, hey, I don't want to be your advisor, but I would buy right now. Like right now. And they're all looking at me thinking, yeah, but Bitcoin is actually a scam. And some people still say that. Even some of my friends still say that. And I look at them saying, even if you think so, the probability of the price going up from here is so ridiculously high. Why don't you just wing it And yes, you might get unlucky that it crashes further, but looking back at it, right? If you had bought every single time it goes below this quote unquote average, so every time it goes into the red, it would have been pretty good. Now, this time around, if you started buying, for example, right here on the 26th, it might still be like 5 days in the red. But if you'd averaged out, for example, you bought right here on the 26th, then right here, just yesterday or the day before, no, yesterday actually, at about 91 point some thousand, your average price could have been, let's just say, at 93 point something, maybe 94, which means right now you could perhaps already be again in some sort of profit. This might require you to put your orders in up front or be attentive, but perhaps these could be life-changing moves because of the amount of money that you could make here. Again, I recommend though to not be with too crazy high of a leverage when you're talking about average prices, averaging out prices so close to one another. So from 96 to 90, or combining 96 with 92, you're not taking your move that big. If all of a sudden a crash comes back to 83, you still want to have enough money to at least buy some sort of dip, which is why I'm saying, hey, if you're doing it with leverage, take it a little bit easy on smaller moves like that, unless you want to win big and lose big also. So some people, they want to make hundreds of thousands of dollars on a $1,000 Bitcoin move. You can definitely do that, but that's also more risky, obviously. So depending on your risk profile, take caution with that. But I just wanted to quickly update what I've been up to. And there's really no real update to give you, except for the fact that I just wake up, look if we're at a really crazy low price. If we are, I buy in. If we're not, then I continue on with the day. And there's really not that many video updates to make. If Bitcoin starts to crash again, this is what I'll do. Can I go wrong? Sure. But you understand my thinking process now. And if all of a sudden it breaks through, because again, I look at the previous video where I said, hey, just buy XRP at $2.10. I look at the videos before where I say, hey, just buy XRP at below $2, blah, blah, blah. Just last night, you could have bought at $2. Again, you might say, Dusty, you said buy 210 as well. It's too high. Now I'm down. Okay, well, just average yourself out, which you could have done here. Right now, your average price should be maybe at like $2.05. Maybe it's $2.07, sure. But if you're at a loss right now, even though I said buy $2.10, that's crazy because right now we're $2.11, right? So you should be up a little teeny weeny bit. But maybe you bought slightly above where I put my targets, which is also fine. But then at least you should have bought a little bit when it went below $2. Maybe on some exchanges it didn't. Maybe it just touched $2.01 and you were waiting. But then again, if you're always buying slightly above, you should have also bought slightly above here, right? At least my thinking process. Anyway, things are good. Hopefully they're doing good for you guys too. I know a lot of people won't be watching this as they're enjoying their New Year's or something like that. I hope you guys all have a wonderful New Year. If you've not celebrated it yet because you're in some American country or whatever, it's not there yet, hey, I wish you already a Happy New Year, even though it's not there yet. But for all of those in Asia, Happy New Year. Thank you for watching the channel for all these years. It's been how many? 9? 8? No? 8, yeah, more than 8 years now, which is pretty fantastic. Happy to be serving. That's it for this video.